I'm Ztarli, and in this video I'll be drawing a Western dragon sketch. This is a continuation of my video on sketching wyverns, so I won't be repeating the first part of that video. So if you're interested to see my thought process before the actual sketching and designing of a dragon, then you can watch the first part of that video. It does have chapters, so you can easily skip ahead to the parts you want to see. So to begin with, I'm going to be designing the dragon before putting it into a pose. So I've actually wanted to do my own design for a Western dragon for a while. I really like black dragons, so I kind of want to design my own black dragon to use in my own artwork. So this is a good opportunity for me to do that. As with the other video, this is being recorded as I draw it and will be at standard speed, so will be one of my longer videos. Thank you everybody who commented on my previous videos. It does seem like that people are more interested in these longer videos that sort of teach you how to draw dragons and that kind of thing. So I do think I'll be making a few more of these in the future. Feel free to put any comments below, make any suggestions. If there's something specific you'd like me to show you how I create art, just comment below and let me know what you'd like to see. So to start with, I'm just going to get a pencil to use for the sketching. I'm just going to use a HB pencil, and as per usual, I'm just going to take it off that darkest color. When I like to do like black dragons, I usually do them like a blue or a purple desaturated color, so something around here to begin with, and then I will darken it or lighten it. So again, even though it's a black dragon, I would never be doing it pure black because that makes it difficult to make different adjustments. It also makes it near impossible to have layers above it, have different effects with them, like doing lightening layers or darkening layers have less of an effect on a layer that's completely desaturated. Now obviously I'm not going to be colouring this picture, it is just a sketch, but I still go by the same principle. So I'm going to choose this darker sketch, darker bluey purple colour for my sketch, and if I decide to make that sketch into a full-blown picture later, then I don't really have to make any further adjustments. I can just colour straight onto that layer, and I've already got a fairly good dark colour that's not black for my sketch. So Western dragons, they do mostly go by a standard idea or shape. Interestingly enough, the lore of Western dragons has changed quite a lot over the years, and so you can't really say a traditional Western dragon or that kind of thing anymore. I'm going more by the modern ones, so you think like Draco and that kind of thing from Dragonheart, four legs, 2 wings, fairly sort of in proportion shape, with horns and scales, no fur. I may put ears on it, but that's just my kind of, I like putting ears on dragons for some reason, but it may not have it. I haven't decided yet. So to start with, I'm just going to put some block shapes down for the shape of the dragon. And I've actually decided this dragon is going to be more like sort of slightly upright. So for reference on this, I would recommend a kangaroo. That's this sort of shape where it's thinner at the top and larger at the bottom. It's kind of like a kangaroo shape. And as per usual, it's going to have a long tail. I've already run out of space, so I'm just going to make this smaller already. There we go. So I just sort of have this sort of, here's the chest, this here, and this is going to be where the legs are going to be. So it comes out here at the chest, and then a little bit of a belly, and then it comes wider again where the legs will be joining. And then I'm going to have this long tail extending off the body of the dragon. I'm just going to curl it around just to save on space, with the neck joining on around here. And I want to have a long-ish kind of neck, so I'm going to extend it up a little bit, maybe to about here. So we've got our tube of a neck here. And I'm going to have a fairly pointy dragon, so sort of a pointy shape here. Now for the arms and legs, I'm going to start with the back legs. Very similar to the wyvern, have this ovally shape. where it joins onto the body, and then it goes back on itself and bulges a bit as there are muscles there. And then we've got an ankle that goes into a foot. Good reference for dragon feet are birds or dinosaurs. Ostriches and emus in particular, the largest of the birds, do have very dinosaur looking or dragon looking feet and are good references for these kinds of things. For the front limbs, I'm going to have this sort of, I don't know what you call that, a mango shape as the shoulder going into the arm, and then sort of going back on itself again, an ovally shape here and another ovally shape here with fairly long hands. So it's this kind of looks a bit like a raptor at the moment, but it'll have wings, so that makes it a dragon. And maybe just for illustration purposes, I'll have the second hand on the ground since I do want it to be able to go between the two. So the back arm is going to be on the ground. Now I like to have my wing joints pretty much on top of the shoulder joint. So I'm going to have it joining here somewhere, and it just going up and then back. And this is where your hand would be, or your palm or whatever, and your fingers extending from here. So I'm going to have a fairly long thumb claw and then bringing down. So this is coming, this finger's bending down. So sort of like, how do I explain this? So this is the thumb and this finger going down like this. And then the next finger's coming up higher. And then, well, that one's probably not going to be that high. Yeah, and like this. So like that. So this piece here is in front of the rest of the wing. So it'll hide the other wing bits that are behind it, and then joining onto the body here, we have, you can see some more of the wing here. I'm just going to make this tail a bit thinner. I think it's too chunky. And we don't need that. Now, I like to have a fair bit of room at the back of the head before the sort of, I guess, the face portion of the dragon begins. So I'd have the cheek. I'm just going to tie this up so you can actually see what I'm doing here. So the cheek would be about here, and then horns would start here, and you'd still have this quite large portion where essentially the neck is joining to the skull. So pretend this is the neck or spine, and this is where it joins onto the skull. So there's this sort of bulge part here where that happens. You don't have to do that. I just like doing that. It's just this aesthetic thing. I think it makes a more realistic looking creature. Even though some creatures don't do that kind of shape, I still enjoy doing it. Now, I'm going to have a fairly long mouth. And I think with the horns, we're probably going to go sort of twisting up and more than one. But this is kind of a mess now, so I'm going to do a second sketch above it. I'm going to reduce the opacity of this one. Also make some adjustments to the sketch. Just move this down a bit. So we're just going to add some horns on here. I think I want more like more like antelope horns. Sort of twisting and curving. Yes, like this. and a large-ish chin, but not huge, and of course a decently sized cheek. And then I have the neck joining onto this part like this. I like sassy dragons, so it's going to have thin, sassy eyes. Some of you may have noticed that 90% of the random dragons I draw have this sassy look on their face. It's because I like it. I also like little fangers, so it's going to have little fangers. Now I'm going to make the chest portion of this dragon a bit larger. I think I made it a bit small, so I'm just going to make it larger and perhaps slightly less sloped. Or more sloped. I think this is a better shape. Good references for solid tails, dinosaurs, and maybe iguanas and goannas, the large lizards. Komodo dragons have fairly solid tails, so they're good references to use when designing tails. I think I want that one to be less muscly. Yes, like this. And then it's just tucking its hands up. Yeah, like a raptor, I know, but dinosaurs are very good references for dragons. You just have to be careful, especially with their face shape. If you make the face too much like a dinosaur, it's very obvious, and it looks like you've just put wings on a dinosaur. So if you're going to use references for dinosaurs to make dragons, I would avoid using the face shape of them. Using the legs and the body shape and stuff is good reference, but yeah, like for instance, the Tyrannosaurus Rex has a very obvious dinosaur shaped face, so does a raptor, so it can be pretty obvious that that's what you've used as reference when using dinosaurs as reference. I'm going to make this leg longer, so instead of having it more crunchy like I did like this before, I'm going to have it less, so more like this. My back leg is amazing. Nobody comment on it. Just bringing this belly up a little bit. It's looking more like a dinosaur that way though. Let's go and do that. Getting some wing muscles. Yeah, and then I'm going to add some spines and plates and armor sort of to it. I'm going to change that tail. It's not long enough for my liking. I need more room. So I'm just going to shift this over and make this tail less dinosaur looking. Okay, so I'm going to add some armor plates to this dragon because I really like them, and my own current dragon, which is Ztarli, has flat plates. She has armored plates, but they're very smooth and don't have any ridges, and although they're fun to colour, I kind of want something a bit different, more dragony, like more traditional or modern Western dragon looking, so I want the sort of ridged armored plates along the spine, so I'm just going to add some in. Now the way in which I do armor plates is like, it's sort of like this shape, so it's an arrow, I guess, but it actually from the side it looks like this. So there's actually a dip here. So here. So when I actually go to shade this, I'll actually make this bit darker as it's, rounded. And yeah, just point this bit out a bit and you just interlock them. So you just put another one over top and another one over top, and yeah, you interlock them onto each other. So yeah, that's how I like to do armor plating. You don't want it to be too high, so I'm just making these a bit lower, shorter. And then I kind of do this sort of zigzag pattern to sort of integrate it into the rest of the dragon. So then I make these diamond scales, which are kind of just fun extra things. But I plan on having it a black and something dragon, so either a gold accent or maybe like a deep blue or purple. So I plan on having these little diamond scales a different color and maybe metallic or crystally in texture, just so it's something fun for me to color, which is half the reason I draw dragons. So for its neck plates, I usually like to go with like this softer snake look, which is just sort of like this. It's a belly of a snake, scales, but I think because this dragon I want to look more sort of tough and more armored, that I'll go with armored plating for the neck as well, which just means that the neck plates will overlap instead of being next to each other, which is hard to sort of draw without shading, but essentially when I go to shade it, I'll just make sure that there is shadow being cast by it's the plate above it, so like this rather than like this. I guess this is a snake belly, it's now a worm. Now when doing plates like this, keep in mind that the neck is curved. It's not a tube. Well, it's kind of a tube, but it's not like a straight line. So we're not just going, I'm not just going straight when I'm putting these lines on. I'm not doing this because the neck is curved and that's not how they would move. They need to move. The dragon is not an inanimate object. It needs to move. So I follow the curve of the dragon. So you'd make a curved line like this. You can obviously do it less or more curved depending on what sort of feel you're going for, but just keep in mind that the straighter you make your lines, the more geometric, the more static the creature's going to be looking and less like it's actually able to move. So I like to try keep flowing lines that sort of follow the contour of the dragon, which is why I always draw the, naked dragon first and add scales and things afterwards, because I want to make sure I've got the shapes down before I go adding like any scales to it, because I want these scales to be following the shape of the dragon. I'm just going to end these in a point to join it onto the dragon. And we'll have some more armor plates on its head too. So I'm just adding some here. And this horn's going to be a twisty antelope type horn. So I'm just going to add some lines like this. I probably could have done them better. Yeah, the twisty horns. I do like some large face scales, so it's going to have some cute large face scales. And it's going to have armored plating on its shoulders, with maybe some diamonds here too. But yeah, you see the scales and stuff don't make it look a lot more dragony-ish. I might add, I'll just see what it looks like with an ear here. Yeah, I think I'll leave the ear. I like ears on dragons. I know it doesn't make sense or whatever, but you know what? Dragons aren't real, so it doesn't matter. Do you want fairly curved claws for this one? I think they're kind of fun. Make it elbow. Oh, that's a mess. Move this elbow further back. Adding some more diamonds along here, because why the heck not? And continuing the plated armor all the way down the tail. Now, what kind of tail is it going to end in? Well, maybe it should be diamond-esque since it has diamonds on it already. So it's like this, in case you can't tell on my sketch. Cool. Well, I think I'm happy with this design so far. So I think I'm just about ready to pop it in some kind of pose. Yeah, I haven't got every single design down yet, but it is a sketch and it's just so I sort of know what I'm doing. It's not a full reference picture. If you'd like to see me do full references, then, you know, let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll do a full reference for this dragon. I've just made my reference picture small and now I'll be going on to the sketch. And I'm just using the HB pencil and it's just like a purpley color at the moment. And I've created a new layer for my sketching and I'm just gonna think of a pose to put it in for my sketch. So I'll just gonna sketch out the shapes first. So I might have it in maybe a regal laying down pose. So I'm just gonna sketch out its like body shape first, which is kind of like this weird rectangle-y sort of shape. And I'll probably have it sitting down so it's when its legs bunch up, it's less obvious, like the separation between where the bones are, because I guess this is where the bones are. But the shape sort of goes around it as the muscles bend. So this is the back leg. Maybe comes down and the foot. And I'm going to raise it a bit more there. And as per usual, I've not left myself enough space, so we're going to move this here. And then for the front of the dragon, this is where the shoulder is, and it starts to go into the arm, so this is where the bones would be, and the arm, and this is where the hand or paw or claw, whatever you want to call it, would be. Now, some people do find it easier to sketch out where the bone lines would be before doing these shapes, but I like to go straight to just these weird jelly beanie shapes, and I generally skip the bone stage, but I thought I'd just show you, what's actually going on here. So, if you want to try that method, you might find that it works better for you than just going straight to the actual shape around the bones. So I guess this sort of pose is sort of like a lionish pose. So if you wanted to look up a good reference for this kind of posing, then like a lioness or a lion laying down would be a pretty good option. I'm just going to make my hands little mittens for now. And when I do the next layer of sketching, I'll make them more refined. Now I've got to decide how I'm going to put this head. Maybe sort of swanning a bit. But when I say swanning, I mean like curved like a swan, in case you didn't understand what I meant. And then I've got the wing muscle coming off, sort of coming from behind the shoulder, like I've done in the reference picture, and like joining into the shoulder. It's kind of hard to draw this without the shading, but that's where the wing is. This is the bones. This is the elbow for the wing, and then it's coming back up this way. And this is where the hand would be. We've got a thumb. And then the finger bones. Knuckle, claw. Knuckle, claw. So this is all in front of this next bit I'm gonna do. Oh, I've just realized that doesn't make sense. It doesn't go far enough past the elbow. Okay. So I think I like this bit, but I'm not so sure about the other bits. It's very messy. Alright, I'm going to be making this smaller again so I can fit the whole thing in. I probably made the tail just a little bit too long, so I'm just going to shorten it probably to here. Yeah. Trying to work out where the wing bones go is always a bit challenging. Again, reference for wings, leathery wings at least, bats are probably your best choice. Where did my other knuckle bone go? Yeah. I think this bit is too long. I think that's the problem. Oh yeah, if you click these two dots, it means that these two are linked now. So I'm just clicking on those to bring this back a bit. that's better. Okay, that's my base sketch, so I'm just going to turn the opacity down and do a better sketch on top of it. And I might just flip this as well, because I find it hard to look at reference pictures that are facing the opposite way. So I'm going to make them both face the same way. His cheek's not big enough. And then I add this little adjoining bit, adjoining the throat to the neck. This pencil's not quite dark enough, so I'm just changing the settings so it's a bit stronger. There we go. And they have this bulge here where the neck joins to the chest. And the bulge here where the arm's sort of resting on itself. Maybe he's cranky. Sort of rolling his eyes. And then look at my own hand as reference for its front paw, paying attention to which side the thumb is on. So the little finger on this side. So you can see I'm just following the under sketch and just making the lines a bit more coherent and easier to see. I'm just making this little divot here for the knee. Now when it comes to curving necks or tails, I always find it helpful to establish where the top of the center top of the tail is. So like if you're looking at the tail from above, add this line to the very top so that I can sort of distinguish at what point the tail turns around and is facing another way round. So I'm going to do that here as well. So this is the top and it's curving around like this. And then we've got the top here again. So then we've got the bottom comes around and meets the top, and then you have the other side of the tail here coming around this way. And then it ends in this diamondy shape. I think I will call this Dragon Diamond, by the way. I know it's a really lame, simple name, but if it works, it works. I think his head might be too big. Just going to resize it. You can kind of tell I don't have smoothing on at the moment. Everything's really sketchy, but that's okay because it's a sketch. It's allowed to be sketchy if it's a sketch. Knuckle bones. Maybe I'll have this joining further down. Now this claw is coming from this third finger that sort of goes like this, but it's hidden by the wing, this finger that's in front of it. But you kind of have to keep in mind that it's this one would be attached to this finger, not this to that one. So just when folding things over, just try and keep in mind which finger would be attaching to which part of the dragon. So this goes behind, attaches to this one here. I probably should draw on a second wing. I'm going to have this folding membrane, so it's sort of attaching here, and then they're sort of elastic, so it's sort of just moving with the rest of the fold. Okay, well, I don't think I need this bottom sketch anymore, so bye-bye. Now I have to add on all those scales. These little diamonds, which is his namesake now. Just erasing back on these plates that are coming over, so you can actually see they're actually coming, they're laying on top of each other. And same with the neck spines plates. He's very cranky. Don't actually know how I was drawing these diamonds. They're just kind of there. Yeah. I think it's a pretty decent dragon shape. Kind of looks like it's a bit young, like it looks a little adolescent. I think it's because of how sort of slim it looks. Sort of gives it a sort of juvenile look to it. But I don't mind that. I don't mind how this is looking. These plates are going to be very close together since the leg is actually sort of crunching in on itself. Now this is the fun part, trying to make plates follow the center line. They're just sort of like triangle things. This part's always a little bit difficult. It doesn't really make sense without the shading, but trust me. I've moved my dragon up to the side and made it small so I have space for my sketch. And I guess that's my sketch for this dragon. Add a little background here, some on the edge of a cliffy thing, some grass. Maybe some big old, these are the best clouds, big old storm clouds forming in the background. Whoosh, wind, and a leaf. Some leaves, these are leaves. That's the cliff. Grass. Yeah, that's my dragon sketch. I'm not sure how helpful this one was. I kind of just drew away. So hopefully you did get some use out of it. If you'd like me to sort of make it more tutorial and less me just drawing and you just watching me draw, let me know. I can try and make it more like explaining which shapes I'm using, that kind of stuff. This video ended up being a little bit weird because I did the first half of it and then I got super sick and didn't get to do this second half until like a month later. So it did take a lot longer to do than I'd originally planned, but unfortunately there was just stuff happened beyond my control. But yeah, let me know if this helped you or if you'd like to see something different. The next video I do will probably be an Eastern Dragon video or a Drake video. Probably the Eastern Dragon one because I have something in mind for that. So that's probably the next tutorial video I'll do. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching and I'll see you all next time. Bye!